Hey guys, Raw Motivations here today. I want to come and talk to you again about narcissism. But first, I want to make a couple cool announcements. Just got approved a couple weeks ago for Wake Up Warrior and being able to actually help facilitate and run some of the challenges that are coming up. So I'm actually running a new Wake Up Warrior challenge coming up here July 10th through August 10th. Super excited. It's going to be going with a Wake Up Warrior group in the actual challenge, but then I'm also going to be complementing it with weekly calls where we're going to be talking on a weekly basis over Zoom to be able to track your growth, to be able to see where you're at, be able to help hold you accountable, give you some fire and say, hey, this is where we're going to take back your power, to learn to grow, to learn to change. So I'm going to have the link down below in the bio. We'd love to have you just go to my website, check it out, see what's there. I have a discount code so you can be able to access that, get some money off, but also work on yourself. And the biggest thing you can invest in on a day-to-day basis is on you, nobody else. We've talked a lot on this channel of you can't change other people. You can't change the narcissist or other people in your lives. The only person you can change is you. And how are you going to do that on a day-to-day basis? If you're interested in learning more, go to my website or just type in rawmotivations.com/warrior challenge. And that's something that I'm going to be running here July 10th to August 10th. Join me with a bunch of other men and women that are going to be taking that course, taking that challenge, and working to gain back their power, and gain back their control of who they are, of how they're going to live, of how they're going to live a real life that's raw, that's relevant, that's going to produce results each and every day because they're living by a code, by a difference, to live with purpose, vision, and values. Check it out. If you guys don't know who I am already, my name is Ben Taylor. I run Raw Motivations, and I'm on this platform as well as TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook as a self-aware narcissist to provide awareness, growth, healing, and change. Awareness about what narcissism is and the shit that it causes on a day-to-day basis. To provide growth, healing, and change through interacting with different people, whether that's on one-on-one Zoom calls or coaching events, different things like that, or whether it's just on the weekly lives, on Wednesday nights or Thursday nights, or maybe on Monday nights if you come see us on the Narc app, to be able to say, hey, this is the question and answers that you have. Let's work on your closure. Let's work on you understanding what's actually happening so that you can figure out how to heal, how to grow, how to move to the next level. And we do that on a day-to-day basis through dropping nuggets of truth on all different platforms. We do that on YouTube here to be able to provide longer videos, on live events, all different types of stuff. And if you haven't had a chance, download the Narc app. NARC, it's Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Community. It's a community of like-minded people that are there engaging on a day-to-day basis for their healing, for their growth as they continue to work on changing themselves to be a better person on a day-to-day basis. Because you have to understand, to learn all you can about narcissism, to learn everything of the shit that you went through, then the focus has to turn and has to start focusing on you. How are you going to change? How are you going to develop on a day-to-day basis? What are you going to invest time, money, energy into you? Because so often the narcissist steals that and rips that away. And you no longer have a chance to think about yourself, to think about what is actually helpful, what is actually benefiting me and my growth and my journey. It's time to take back your power and to focus on yourself, focus on your journey of how are you going to grow, heal, and change so you can be happy and healthy. And how can you continue to move forward and have it all in life that you want and that you need, and that someone else is not limiting or controlling or manipulating you not to be able to succeed in life. Would love to be able to talk to you, whether that's a one-on-one, join the challenge, check us out. We'd love to interact with you. Today, however, we're going to be talking about the narcissistic family profile. A little bit different. We haven't really discussed much of this. We're still going through the book here, The Narcissist in Your Life by Julie Hall. So if you haven't had a chance, check this out sometime. It's a fantastic book. We've been getting a lot of information from it and just trying to share it from my perspective of what's actually going on with the narcissist aspect. But we want to talk about the narcissistic family profile. What's that actually look like? We've broken it down in 4 different ways in this book. I want to read a section and kind of explain a little bit, and we'll kind of walk from there. Okay? So first one is going to be repressed needs. Narcissistic family profile, repressed needs. Okay? Children in narcissistic families learn to meet their parents' needs while burying their own. They learn that to survive, they must constantly work to read their parents' emotions while masking or faking theirs. Such children typically grow up feeling depressed, isolated, distrustful, self-doubting, and dislocated from their emotions, with little idea why. They may regard their parents and their childhood as normal, even idyllic, and yet carry around feelings of fear, anger, and despair. I realize a lot of the people that I'm talking to on this video right now, you might identify that not because you're the person doing that, but because you've been the person that's been done to. You've been the child in that relationship that was narcissistic, where you realize, hey, I have to hide my feelings. I have to hide what I'm going through. And on a day-to-day basis, that might look different. It might be with the parent that has an addiction, where you're like, I have to hide, how I feel sad about them drinking all day, and I have to clean up the whole house, and I have to serve them when they're not doing anything. Or I have to be the one that serves that person when, they're cooked out on drugs and no one is taking care of the crying baby because they're passed out. I'm the one that has to take care of, another sibling's emotions because mom or dad just shoved the door in their face and said, I don't care. A lot of you connect with this because you've seen it happen in that relationship. You've seen it happen in the way you were brought up. Your emotions weren't okay to express. And as a result, you might end up having, it says, carry around the feelings of fear, anger, and despair, oftentimes touching into depression, isolation, distrustful, and self-doubting, or disconnected from emotions. If that's you, first off, I would say, hey, please get help. Work with someone to be able to understand what you've gone through. The early childhood development and the inner child work is crucial, and it's important of healing yourself coming out of that family dynamic. So with the narcissistic family profile, you have the repressed needs, but then you also have hidden dysfunction. Narcissist families often appear relatively functional on the surface. This is because the narcissistic personality aspires to perfection and typically works to present a well-polished image of success to the world. Parents may have decent or even high-status jobs and keep up appearances with children's material needs met. But like a shiny red apple with a mealy rot inside, below the surface, the sheen of children's emotions, needs are ignored, resented, and perhaps even maligned. The parents are emotionally unavailable to the children while expecting the children to cater to them. Did this happen in your family? There's countless people that I talk to that have been brought up in a narcissistic family and a narcissistic aspect that they had to be able to give that perception to everybody else. They're like, hey, everything seems normal. The parents made it seem normal, like everybody else thought that it was normal, all this type of stuff, but they got to a place where they felt like the abuse, the back and forth, the rot in one sense that was inside the marriage or the family, they thought that was normal. And over time, that cognitive dissonance of saying like, hey, doesn't feel right, but hey, this is what's normal, ends up being a place where people leave those familiar relationships and they go, then they try to get married or be with a relationship and they find someone really toxic because they're looking for someone that has the same stuff. That's what love is. That's what love when I can't share my emotions. That's what love when there's a connecting point after a giant argument. That's what love is. And people go after this stuff because they've been brought up in it and it seems normal. The third one of the narcissistic family profile is perfect parents. Particularly bedeviling aspect of the life in the narcissistic home is that parents may send the message directly or indirectly that they are the best parents on earth and expect their kids to mirror that back to them. Parents may even describe themselves as great, wonderful, or perfect mothers or fathers and actively work at building their image within their social circles and community. The kids quickly learn never to question them or to complain, while also giving constant recognition and reinforcement for anything they get, even minimal parenting. Often such parents expect their children to conform to their narrative for their parenting by presenting well in ways they value, whether it be academically, socially, artistically, athletically, or otherwise. A lot of times the parents want their kids to conform in a certain way, but be able to uphold that image by saying, hey, we are good parents. You should be grateful because we give you a roof over your heads. Never mind the abuse, never mind the emotional abuse, never mind the trauma that we put you through, but you should be grateful because of X, Y, and Z. And a lot of times they want to paint that picture of, hey, we are the perfect family. We are the perfect people. And they expect that to be validated by the kids. And when the kids start to validate that, when they start to placate to their demands, it ends up being a thing that starts to mess with their mind too, of like, wait a second, like maybe they are. Maybe I just have a skewed version of what's actually true or what's actually right. Oftentimes not. Oftentimes the kids have a better idea of what's going on than the parents do. Number 4, denial and secrecy. Family denial and secrecy are necessary to keep the narcissistic system running. Children must deny their real feelings and unmet needs. Siblings must not discuss with each other the family tensions and problems, and the family as a whole must present appearances of normalcy to the world. Thus, children from the narcissistic family oftentimes are given no choice but to say, if not believe, that everything at home is okay, even exceptionally happy. In reality, they endure uniquely insidious and devastating trauma that can take decades to unravel and heal from. Typically, the understanding comes slowly, if at all, and the healing does not begin until the survivor has established significant perspective and distance from the family of origin dynamics. Countless people that I've talked to that question and wonder, do I cut my family off? They seem really narcissistic. And as they dive into it and they start to learn more about narcissism, they're like, wow, these people are very narcissistic. And then they get to the place where like, I have to set boundaries. And sometimes I have to cut them off. And normally when I say this, like people like freak out. They're like, I can't do that because I have kids, I have grandkids, I have all this kind of stuff, I have all these ties. At the end of the day, like what really matters? Keeping the image, because that goes back to the perfect parents, perfect family, or the denial, the secrecy, hiding it because you're afraid of the world or what they're going to think, you're afraid of what other people are going to think. And what you should be afraid of is how devastating it is to yourself, to your kids, to your grandkids, whoever it might be. And on a day-to-day basis, you have to know that the narcissist familial system wants to keep that secrecy, wants to keep that facade. And it's not just the idea of like, hey, I want my own mask. It's let's have our mask as a family that says we are the perfect family. We are the perfect people. Be like us. Make sure you tell your friends that you're happy. Make sure you tell your friends that this is a good relationship that we all have together when in reality it's rotten. Is this you? Did you grow up in this kind of stuff? Repressed needs, hidden dysfunction, perfect parents, and denial and secrecy. Was that something that made up your family dynamic as you grew? With a narcissistic mom, with a narcissistic dad, with both of them being toxic, is that something you experienced? If it is, that's something that says right here at the very end, just to highlight it once again, that healing does not begin until the survivor has established significant perspective. You have to learn and understand as much as you can about it so that you get a perspective of the truth of the situation. The truth and the facts of the situation is what sets you free. And the second thing is you distance yourself from the family of origin dynamics. You distance yourself from the toxicity. This is why we say so much, go no contact, work on your growth and healing, because you have to separate from the addiction. You have to separate from the toxicity in your life so that you can heal and you can grow, and you have to become educated and aware of what it actually is. And I hope you'll do that today.